Hey guys, Ariel over here at Fy Nyth. Just wanted to talk today a little bit about cleaning chemicals. I did a video the other day on just using essential oils on my evaporator on my wood stove if you want some scent in the house instead of candles or air fresheners or all those things, because my skin and breathing and body have always been so sensitive to all kinds of chemicals in the air and environment, and especially on my skin. So through my life and my personal experience and the fact that I'm probably one of those, somebody called us the canaries in the coal mine, the ones that react to everything first, I've gotten to be very aware of various chemicals in all kinds of things. I was trying to look up some numbers on the average amount of potentially toxic chemicals in your average American household, and I was finding a whole range of things all over the place. Numbers from like 62 up to like 72,000. So I don't know exactly, and obviously average is an average and everyone has different stuff in your house, but there's a lot of stuff in a lot of people's houses that is really not very good for you. And one of the big areas where there is a lot of things is in the area of cleaning products. If you walk down a cleaning aisle in a grocery store, you'll probably see, you've got stovetop cleaners, oven cleaners, kitchen cleaners, bathroom cleaners, tub and shower cleaners, toilet bowl cleaners, floor cleaners, wood cleaners, and on and on and on. And this is a pretty big business. I think the most recent numbers I could find quickly were statistics for like back in 2009, so they're a little bit outdated at this point, but they were saying that it's a nearly $2 billion a year industry, and the average American household spends something like $700 a year on cleaning products. So it's a pretty big business, and there's a lot of advertising that goes into convincing you need all these things, or your house is filthy and you're dirty and you're not a good homemaker. You don't take good care of your house and you're dirty and you're going to get sick and everyone's going to die. That's generally not actually the case. Now, I'm not a doctor. Go do your own research. Please look up this stuff and check out the information for yourself. This is what works for me. I use, Grizzly's walking back and forth. She's not too sure about the tripod either. That falls in the same category apparently as things with stick handles like brooms and snow shovels. So she's going back to sleeping on the kitchen floor. To clean my house, and you may think it's dirty, but most people comment on the fact that it's fairly clean and tidy. I only use these things right here. Everything here you could ingest with no serious side effects. Most, like 90-something% of cases of fatal poisoning, a lot of them are children, but happen in the home. They're not generally from things outside. They're from products in your home. So this is something to think about and beware of. So anyway, there's lots of bad stuff out there, varying amounts depending how you count it and who's measuring and so on. But there's a lot of bad stuff out there that is pretty harmful to your health, the environment, your skin, your breathing, your brain, all kinds of things, and a lot of money gets spent on it. So if you want to save some money and save some of the save on having a lot of those chemicals present in your house, this is what I personally use. I use dish soap. A natural dish soap. I've used several brands. This particular one just has vegetable-based cleaners, water. I like it pretty well. Like I said, I've used several ones. And then there's soap nuts, which if you watched I will do a laundry video, I promise guys, I just don't do laundry that often. And if you've watched or looked at my blog post on how I do laundry, I use soap nuts. These are a naturally occurring nut. They look a little bit like a dried up acorn. There's the whole nut. When they crack in half, they're hollow inside. I think there's originally a seed in there. These are shelled ones. But this grows naturally. There's a sapicin, I believe, in the soap nut, and if you put it in water, especially if you like boil them in water for a little bit, you'll actually get suds. It makes kind of a brownish liquid, and I do use that for laundry, and I've made my own dish soap with it before, but with no preservatives in it. If it's just sitting on the counter for too many weeks, you will get some mold on top, so you would either have to refrigerate it or only make very small batches. So that's just turned out to be a little bit of pain, and I don't often do that, but I have, and you can. But dish soap and hot water are what I use for like 90% of all cleaning. And a good, a good scrubby, like just a cotton cloth, a rag, whatever. I don't like sponges because of all the stuff that gets in them and tends to sit there and stay moist for a long time because of the way they hold water. And if I've got rags, even if they're dirty and they're going in the wash, I do hang them up so they can dry out. You can hang them outside. Even the winter stuff will dry in the cold air, so they're not sitting damp in a pile and mildewing. So that works for most cleaning things. I clean dishes with that. Most of the time when I wash my floor, I have a cork floor. I've done this also with hardwood, linoleum, tile, and various other places where I've lived. Most of the time I just use hot water, sometimes with a tiny bit of soap in it, but I've never used anything else for cleaning a floor. Then I use, my next most frequent cleaning chemical would be white vinegar. This is the same stuff you buy in the grocery store, food aisle. You put in food. When I'm using vinegar for food, I like to have a whole raw vinegar, like a apple cider vinegar or something that's still alive and has all this good bacteria in it. But this is just a plain, white vinegar. A half-gallon jug like this is often about $1 at my grocery store, so it's not very expensive at all. And I will use that mixed with water for cleaning windows, disinfecting, removing hard water scale on anything. If you've got water spots on any kind of glass or metal from hard water, and I do have pretty hard water here, it's got a lot of minerals in it, or scale in a bathtub or toilet or anything like that, soaking in vinegar for a little bit will loosen up and help dissolve all the scale. You can get a cleaning vinegar. I think the eating vinegar is usually diluted to being a 5% acidity. The grocery store sells a cleaning vinegar that's 6%, so it's not a lot stronger. I did buy one time for using in spot killing some weeds outside, a 20% vinegar. That is really strong. You do not want that on your skin. That's not drinkable. It will give you an acid burn. But a basic grocery store edible vinegar is going to work just fine for almost everything you probably need to clean in your house. Then if you do need to whiten something or it kind of disinfect something, I do use hydrogen peroxide a little bit. I also occasionally use it diluted with some water as a mouthwash. I don't buy any other mouthwash. And a lot of cleaning stuff for me crosses into my body self-care and food products, as you can see. So I do use peroxide for a few things, not a whole lot, and then sometimes baking soda. Baking soda is really great for absorbing odors. I keep one in the fridge just to absorb any odors that build up in there. I've used them in vehicles before. If you've got a carpet or something, you've got a stinky spot, you can sprinkle some sprinkle some baking soda on it and let it just kind of absorb there for a little bit and even vacuum it up if you've got a vacuum. You can use a paste if you need to scrub something where you would normally use like a Comet or some kind of scrubbing powder. There's a few things that'd be a little too abrasive on, so be careful if you're going to like scrub a glass window or a glass top of it, or glass top on a stove, something like that. Make sure you're not going to scratch it before you use it. But this is everything that I use for cleaning in my house, other than a dustpan and broom dustpan brush for picking up little chunks. Got my little tiny vacuum I did a review on. I can link to that below, for getting dust and stuff out of the corners. Oh, and then I got one other thing. Not in the cleaning chemical department, but I've got a little baby one. They make much bigger ones as well. Ostrich feather duster. These are real ostrich feathers, and they, as opposed to a synthetic or acrylic one, they have a natural tendency to, you can kind of see how the little ends all stand out there. They've got kind of static electricity that helps the dust cling to them. So for any little cobwebs or dusting off, bookshelves, things like that, where it's just, you're just trying to get any little particles. They're pretty good at picking it up and holding it, not just swirling around the house. Then I take it outside and shake it really good and blow in it and try to, get it shook out outside. But that is another cleaning thing I use. So all total, this stuff's super cheap. You can usually get a bottle of peroxide for about $1. Probably can get a half gallon of vinegar for $1 or $2. Baking soda for $1 or $2. Dish soap, if you don't want to make your own, is for a natural one, it's gonna be a little more expensive, but still a bottle lasts me a long time. I think this bottle was maybe $5 or $6, and it's gonna last me several months. And the rest of these will probably last me for like a full year worth of cleaning. Now, admittedly, I've got a small house here, living in a tiny house, and so I don't have a whole lot of surface areas. If you've got a much bigger house, you'll use a little bit more of some of these things. But almost everything can be cleaned with these products, and for the vast majority of them, dish soap and hot water and a good cotton cloth to scrub things works wonders. You don't need all the... Again, I'm not a doctor, check this stuff out yourself. But I don't find that you need all of the disinfectants, all the Cloroxes, kill all the bacteria, because as we're learning more and more about this, you need good bacteria. If you look at all the studies of how much healthier kids are when they do get to play in the dirt, and how antibacterial hand sanitizers tend to often leave you sicker and help create some of the superbugs, and so just killing every single bug that's around us, because in our natural environment there's lots of kinds of bacteria, and an awful lot of them are really good for us. They're good for our skin, they're good for our guts. Having good bacteria in your gut is good for your brain. It's fascinating to learn more and more about all these kinds of little invisible bugs that are around us. And sure, there are some bacteria that are very harmful and even deadly, and you don't want those around. I'm not trying to say you do, but when you just blanket kill everything, you often end up with more of a problem of leaving a blank slate for bad ones to come in. Whereas if you've got a thriving active culture of some good bacteria, and again, this goes back to your house, your skin, your gut, whatever, you're probably going to stay much healthier, because those good ones are going to crowd out the bad guys. So, my house isn't dirty, it's not crawling with bugs. If you've watched my other videos, you can probably tell, maybe it's not in your opinion, but most people seem to think it's clean and tidy and neat, and my guests who come over here, it's clean, it doesn't smell, it doesn't stink, it's not dirty, and you really can spend a couple dollars a year, not a couple dollars, I guess, $5, $6, $10 a year. If you've got a much bigger household, maybe $20 or $30 a year, but certainly not $700 or $800 a year on cleaning stuff. You'll probably be healthier. Your house will be healthier. It's going to be just as clean, and you really don't have to buy into the idea we've all been sold through marketing for quite a few years, that you need all of these different specialized cleaning products that are full of all kinds of chemicals, and that your house is filthy and disease ridden if you don't have those. So anyway, that's what I personally use in my house. If you guys got any great cleaner tips, share them below. I know a lot of people like some scent in their cleaners. That's not personally my thing, but you can look up, there's lots of recipes that often combine these exact ingredients with an essential oil or two if you want something scented. That's just not my thing. When I'm cleaning, when it's clean, to me there's no smell, not a chemical smell or a fragrant smell. So that's just my personal thing. I like fragrances sometimes. It's just when I'm cleaning, that's not my goal, so I don't tend to make those more mixed products a lot of the time, but you certainly can, and if you get on the internet, you can find tons of recipes for homemade cleaners, and using lemon oils or using orange peels and all that kind of stuff. But for me personally, I do find that these things are sufficient, and between being able to dust, vacuum, sweep up with a little broom and dustpan, and mostly hot water and soap, my house stays clean. So maybe that gives you guys some ideas of things you could get rid of, replace, not buy anymore once you've used up the bottle you have, whatever the case may be, and save yourselves a little cash and a little exposure to chemicals. Thanks for watching, folks. If you're interested in more info on my off-grid tiny house life, check out some of my other videos here. And if you like what you're seeing, click the little picture of my house to subscribe and then hit the little bell so YouTube actually notifies you every time there's a new video available. See y'all next time.